Hello, anyone who's here at the moment. It's not quite 10:30 yet, so I'll just continue to prepare my decks as I wait for people to join the live stream. Of course, it's Monday morning here in Australia. We've got a beautiful sunny day outside. You can see the sun come in to my right. We're moving into summer. Of course, you're moving into your winter. So, big week in politics. Always a big week in the US, but there's also a very, very big week in the UK. Hello, Lynn, and hello, PNW girl. I hate to call you that, but hello. Did anyone see? And hello, Angela. Did anyone see the million people? The crowd was estimated at about 1 million marching in the UK in London as the Parliament took its vote on the supposed Brexit deal. LB, hello, LB, and hello, Jana. Lovely. We've got all the old faithfuls, I would say. So it's lovely to have everyone here this morning. So yeah, the question is, will Boris Johnson defy not just the Parliament, his own Parliament, but the Supreme Court and crash out of the EU? That's going to be a very interesting one to watch. Hello, Jamie. Hello, everyone. Okie doke. All right. Well, as it's 10:30, I think we'll get started. I read an article the other day. No, actually, it wasn't an article. It was your former Ohio Governor John Kasich saying that he felt Trump had stepped over the Rubicon. It got me thinking about this, what we from the outside perceive as a type of politicians stretching the boundaries of the law and trying to break their democracies to achieve their own aims. Now, I don't know about you, but the way that I grew up was that we respect the laws. We respect our parliaments. We respect the will of the people and the laws and the whole legal foundation underpinning democracy. Yet we're seeing two leaders in our major Western democracies and also in Australia as well, trying to push the boundaries of the law and in Trump's case, breaking it. Let's see what Boris Johnson will do. I should mention also, hello, Kathy. I should mention that if anyone caught the opening of the UK Parliaments by the Queen and Prince Charles, I can tell, I've watched the Queen for many, many years. She was not pleased at all. And it caught my attention. I wondered if Boris defies the Supreme Court, would Queen Elizabeth, I don't know if she even has the power, but would she actually sack him? She might, Now, our Governor-General in Australia has the power to take down our Prime Minister in the Commonwealth, and that happened in the 70s to a Labor Prime Minister. And in fact, we're still dealing with the wounds of that because it was seen as England interfering in our local affairs. I don't think that would happen today because there would just be a call for Australia to become a republic. But could this happen in England? Could the Queen actually, if she felt Johnson was defying the Supreme Court and defying Parliament, step in and sack him? I don't know. It's something to consider. But anyway, back to the US. And of course, you've got your impeachment processes, and the impeachment processes are obviously for high crimes and misdemeanors. Now, interestingly, Trump walked back the Doral, holding the G7 at Doral. But I want to know why these politicians are stretching the limits of the democracies. Are they trying to break them? And that is the question. Why are they stretching the limits of democracies? Are they actually trying to weaken the democracies? Are they actually trying to weaken the democracies? And so what I'm getting is obtaining power justifies the means. And so there's that saying, the end justifies the means. So when they consider that the law is wrong, they're going to try and change that in some way. But it's a little bit short-sighted. This is what I can't understand. It's a little bit short-sighted to think that they can actually break the law and get away with it. So let's just see what the cards have got to say. I'm speaking about Trump, obviously. He's the biggest offender. Oh, look, we've got the Virgo coming out. The details. Okay, so that's telling me that they don't expect the details of what they're doing to be known. Oh, dear God in heaven. They expect things to be covered up, and this would explain what's happening in Australia as well. We're back in your 2016, 17. Where we're just starting to wake up that things are being hidden. Now, Boris Johnson is a very silly man. He strikes me as a very reckless person who hasn't had a good success record of even trying to cover up his wrongdoings. So, he's probably likely to go down in a blaze, Boris. If they feel the need to cover it up, why are they doing something wrong that the majority of the people don't want? It's power, I feel. But look, let's ask the cards, because I feel this is exciting. I know I get excited over these questions, but all right, let's start from the beginning. Have these politicians stepped over the Rubicon? Have they stepped over the boundary of lawfulness? And why? What can you tell us about that? Why are they stepping over the Rubicon? Why are they stretching the boundaries? Well, in some cases, overstepping the boundaries of law. Why are these politicians doing that, Spirit? What can you tell us about why they are stepping over these legal lines? All right, so let's have a look. So we've got the Knight of Wands. That kind of says to me, and I don't know what it says to you, but it says to me, this is someone with an inspired plan and taking action on a plan. It says to me that this has been fermenting and fomenting for quite some time. It's been cooked up, if you like, in the back kitchens of these what I would call far right-winged think groups for some time, that there is a need, and I'm going to Bannon et al. And the Mercers and the Koch brothers and all of these people that are funding these movements, the Trumps. This has been almost an inspired plan, something that they, have deliberated on and want to take action on. They're challenged by manipulation, and that's really interesting, because as soon as I said Trump being part of these right-wing think tanks, we call them anarchists, shall we go that far? He's using that for his own gain. And so enter Putin, etc., and the players that are using this for their own gain. That's, I would like to say, why this kind of movement, this kind of lawlessness won't work, because it's clearly a manipulation for money. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, I'll just move that back a bit. Let's see what the foundation of the reading. Yeah, it's review, and it's almost, and see, this is why this is doomed to failure, because in one way it's bringing people along who want the rules changed, who want democracy broken up because they're being restricted. But these movers and shakers, shall we call them, like Trump and like Johnson, it's because they're set. They're those people that the circles that they move in are not achieving the kind of greed that they want. And if you look at what happened in America under Obama, there was some very good legislations trying to keep, when you had I think it was third tier lending crisis, trying to keep legislate to keep the banks honest and lenders honest, so ordinary people would not lose their savings, would not get their fingers burnt. But you know what this card says to me the most, and this is one of the critical issues here. This card talks about trying to hold back legislation around climate change, and I go there because the kind of environmental laws are inhibiting business. Now, I see that in my local community here. Where we had an industry wanting to set up in our local region and use 40% daily of our region's water supply. Now, it's a no-brainer that that can't be allowed to happen. Yet we had businessmen obviously aligned with this development come forward and physically attack people, and we also had those people who are maybe have a brother or a husband or them maybe unemployed saying, why not? It will bring jobs. So you've got these layers of manipulation going on here, but this is a direct response. The veracity of what you're seeing in America and also spilling over into England and even Australia, unfortunately, and hopefully not Canada. You're seeing industry corporations money reacting to these legislations that they feel are hampering their growth, I suspect. You've got that wealth marrying with the ideology of the far right wing that actually do want to break democracy, and these people aren't being honest about it. And in fact, when John Kasich said, I think Trump's overstepped the Rubicon, he was very clever. And I don't mind Kasich, or whatever his name is, because even though he's a Republican, because he said, now let's have a look at it here. Did Trump bring back the factories? No. Did Trump help the farmers? No. Did Trump revitalise rural communities? No. Did Trump, and he said, so he hasn't done anything that he promised to do, except feed himself and those like him. So I know that's a lot of information in those three cards, but I do feel that that's what they're telling, that's what they're speaking to me. And we've got loans and debts, so we'll add another layer here. Why are they prepared to go that one step further? Because then, in some cases, they're serving others. So they're the front men for others, and this is the obviously being in debt, and it can also mean they're borrowing. So I guess the future of their businesses, but I do feel that this is serving other masters, and so then we get into the shadow foreign policy. It's really. And this is what we're seeing, and this is we'll ask why this is happening now in a minute, but I do feel that we're meant to see all this, and that the cover-ups, that's why Virgo, that's why the Hermit dropped out, the detail, the information coming forward in September, critical month. We're meant to see all this. Okay. And here we have the money, the Page of Pentacles. This is really what are they this is a reward for effort. This is in some ways the money trail. But luckily, this is an immature page. This is not a knight. This is not a king, although, obviously Trump presents as a king. But this is to do with earning the money for the effort put in. Let's keep going. Victory. They absolutely want victory. And someone asked me a question about power. How are they going to achieve victory? In it being able to sort of cross the Rubicon, they need to be in power to do that. And so they will seize power. Boris Johnson's Brexit deal was essentially the same as Theresa May's, except he sold Northern Ireland down the creek by keeping it in the EU. So, but yet all of his supporters voted. So again, obviously Theresa May's no angel, but we do know that Boris Johnson has some fairly moneyed kind of dark money backers, including those hedge funds, who are relying, I guess, on making a profit out of the UK crashing out of Brexit. Now, what we've got going on now, we've actually got this information coming forward, and so it's like just opening the lid of a can of worms. These are your whistleblowers as well, and this is your media, your investigative media, bringing out the information. I do so hope that if I were to pull a card on what's happening in Australia now, we'd get the Page of Swords, because we're a bit slow to wake up to what is happening in Australia. This is what's happening now. We've got the Page of Swords, the spy in the camp, so to speak. Thank God for the whistleblowers. The environment that has brought is this Queen of Pentacles. This is a earth energy. Earth energy is grounding, practical, stability, security, and protecting one's financial interests. Because the economies can't run the way that these people want them to run. We've seen, unfortunately, we have seen what happens. I don't know about you, but our Labor Party in Australia has a marvellous economic record. In fact, in the 2008 global financial meltdown, Australia held its own simply due to the very sound economic management and investment of our Australian Labor Party, which is our progressive party. But there's an idea that these parties are bad economic managers, and we've all seen the figures of Obama's achievements. Why do these people get us into so much debt? It's because their interests aren't serving the many. And when you have what they call trickle-down economics, and I won't go too far into that, but when the needs of the many aren't being served, the economy suffers. And this is what this Queen is bringing forward. People are wise now. Did Trump bring back the manufacturing? Did he help the farmers? Did he da-da-da-da-da? No, he didn't. And people are waking up. And in fact, if I had a penny hello, Julie, for every time I saw a farmer say, I voted for Trump and I no longer will, I'd be very rich by now. Because he sold them out. All right. We're trying to weaken China, and some would say that's a good thing, but I feel that with Trump there was a manipulation there for his own gain and others, including a manipulation of your stock market. All right, the hopes and fears. This is the surprise news coming forward. This is an offering of a way to get back to this domestic security, or this, even global security, this internal security that we take for granted. And I said in a reading, my last reading, I said, are the Republicans going against Trump for altruistic reasons? Some possibly are. Some are patriots. I'm not talking about the worst of the Republicans. I'm talking about the best of the Republicans. But they also don't want to see, they're very conscious of this. They see what's happening in relation to what's what could happen if these agendas, these anarchy agendas go through. So there's the hope here, and I'm talking at the big picture, I'm not talking at the micro. There's a hope that there's information going to come out. It's almost like, how can I describe it? It's like when the collective will, if enough of us want the same things, then things start to change. I think we've been through that midpoint now, and things are starting to change. But yeah, they are. We've got the Chariot card, and it's a very quick momentum. And I'm sure that people like Donald Trump, and I'm sure Boris Johnson too, because his turn will come, and the Australian politicians that are selling us out, selling we the people out. They wake up in the middle of the night and they go, God damn, why is this happening so quickly? What's going on? They don't understand the forces, the collective forces, the universal forces that are actually stacked against them right now, because enough of us want the change. They don't understand that. They don't understand the concept of collective will, because they've only ever employed individual will. And here we've got the dark money, which is being exposed. This is what's happening. It's happening very, very, very quickly. And it's hard work for them. The ten of wands. Let's see what's going on at the base. Here we have our mercenary, our knight going in. and I'm just going to the way that Trump deployed the soldiers to Saudi Arabia and said they were mercenaries and Saudi Arabia was paying them a lot of money. Well, that kind of talk, imagine if American soldiers came to Australia as paid mercenaries. Obviously, you can see what would happen. We've got the Seven of Wands. Obviously, this upward energy, having to defend oneself. We've got the Magician. So this is both things actualizing into reality, but also this was my card for the Republicans. The Republicans are having to defend themselves. We've got the King of Pentacles. Obviously, we've got the Knight doing the King of Pentacles work. We've got defending oneself. We've got the Republicans being dragged down. We have the Moon card where something inevitably has to rise to the surface because night becomes day, dark becomes light, and we've got our Queen of Cups coming through, who actually has something to say through her emotions. She has something to say, and it is emotions that's causing that forward movement. So have they stepped beyond the Rubicon? Absolutely, yes. Why? Some of the reasons are in there. I mean, this is a short reading, but some of the reasons are in there. They're dragging along, of course, these people that aren't woken up just yet. So I guess it's fair to say, will these people that are expressed through the Knight of Wands, will these people start to wake up? Will they start to wake up? I don't know. There will be a percentage that are just going to be absolutely, cultish-like. But are they starting to wake up? The fact that the collective will is enacted, I would say that some of them are, because it is enough of us. It is the majority. Is the tell me? Okay, let's see. Tell me about the collective will, Spirit. I'm just going to diverge a bit here. We'll get on to some specific questions in a minute, but I just want to diverge a little bit here to see if we can just glimpse over the cloud to see what the big picture is telling us. Tell me about the collective will as it stands now, Spirit. Tell me about the collective will as it stands now. Tell me about the collective will as it stands now. So I'm seeing a very narrow path on a mountain, forests on one side, but there is still a path there. So it's still a bit perilous, but the path nevertheless is there to climb that mountain and get that view. But yeah, it's a perilous path because I'm seeing the deep ravines that one misstep and you could fall. Tell me about the collective will, Spirit. Tell me about the collective will. The collective will. Okay. I can't script it. I really can't. The collective will. Okay, so this came across as those people that are operating on ideology alone, right-winged ideology. But there's something else is happening here too. You can see that when I talk about a rebalancing, the rebalancing is that enough people. This card comes up for the impeachment of Trump. Enough people are wanting that now. Okay, that's an interesting card. Challenged by the Ten of Pentacles. So that's why the path is perilous still. You've got big, big, big money. And I if I've got time, I'll get on to Tulsi Gabbard. People are saying she's a Russian asset. I'm not sure that she is, but they certainly are trying to push division and dissension in the Democratic ranks, which is what they did in 2016. I would have thought Hillary Clinton might have seen that and just backed off a little bit, but I'm not sure. I'd have to read on that further to get to the bottom of all that. But there are some powerful forces here now trying to stop this upward movement. Let's call it an upward movement. Okay, so the foundation of the reading, the collective will. This is restriction. Okay, so I'm just going to slow down a bit here. This is restriction and being bound, but it's our own thoughts that are binding us. And this insight came to me the other day when I looked at why Trump was doing what he was doing with his Doral resort, which he's now walked back. It is all part of the same thing that will restrict us. But for some reason, it didn't work this time with Trump. He had to walk it back. So are we breaking out of our restrictions? Let's have a look. We've already decided we want to move on from this stretching, breaking, stepping over the Rubicon. We've already decided we're not going down that path. Okay. We've got this disappointment still, and I talk about a perilous path. Unless enough, again, are brought along on the journey, you're going to get a level of disappointment here when people don't get what they want. We've got the leadership now. We've got inspired leadership stepping forward. It's interesting when you think Pelosi, the Democrats have been there for 2 years. They then won the House, and slowly but surely, that's nearly a year ago, they are now stepping forward. They've always stepped forward, but in some way, there's this inspiration here, this wands, this fire energy, this momentum. Why? Because enough of the collective are now switched on. So that's good. And we've got justice. Wonderful. We've got the justice card. Now, justice in itself is a rebalancing. It's a taking back of what was lost. Okay, so we're talking about stepping over the Rubicon. We're winding that back now. This is the mother card, and it is also the Russian card. So, Trump, Russia, they always come in the same breath. That's the Trump organization on another level. That is my card for Russia. Okay, so straight away, Trump, Russia has come into this reading. What's going on with the collective will? Enough people have woken up now. The hopes and the fears to this seduction that went on in 2015, 16 and before. Remember, there are enough people who were hooked into this, con by this, what is actually quite a shallow bid for more power, more greed, more money. Okay, so okay, so there's endings here. That's nice. Trump and Russia came into the frame. There's an ending happening here. The King of Wands energy is there in order to achieve this ending. The ending of illusions. And I think I started this reading, and I know it's pretty heavy. I know it's pretty dense, the reading, but I just felt I had to go here. The endings of illusions. It's very important that we were able to see what was actually behind these movements, and it is indeed greed. Let's have a look at what's at the base. Oh, they are so insecure, aren't they? They're insecure about their money. The chariot is coming extremely quickly. This quick energy that they don't understand. We've got a plan happening now in time, and these wands are speaking to me in a very metaphorical way. They're saying that this is the universe's design here. We're at the crossroads, and we're also formulating plans for the future. We've got the 8 of Cups, my card for Trump resigning and standing down, and we've got a win here, a celebration, a reunion of those in the collective that want to see this ending occur. So that's really positive. That's kind of like, I would say, an energetic reading for what's going on with the collective at the moment, the collective will. Now I'm going to take some specific, I know you want to know why Trump walked everything back on Doral. And we'll also look at Mick Mulvaney's future. Poor old Mick, he's in a bit of strife there. Seems to have foot and mouth disease. Every time he opens his mouth, he creates more problems for Trump and that's an interesting question. We may not have time now to read because we're up to 30 minutes. But I have been wondering for some time, I don't know about Mick Mulvaney, but I have to wonder whether some Republicans are actually laying traps for Trump. Foot and mouth disease, yeah. All right. So let's have a look. Now we'll get to Trump. We'll go down to the smaller level, the micro level. Let's have a look at why did Trump walk back Doral. Isn't it interesting that Trump is actually the, in a way, because of his own karma, playing out of his own karma, and we've got to be careful. We don't want to take on his karma. We're not responsible for how he ends up. But in a way, he's going to be the just as he's led everybody else to slaughter. I don't want to. Slaughter's not the right word, but Trump is that we can see Trump walking toward an ending here. That's what's going to play out between now and December, January, February. I did a reading. People are saying update your timeline. I did one personally. It's a pretty big thing to do a reading. I kind of talk about timelines every time I read about Trump. I give you a December as a key month, January, February, March, or when I would see him likely to step down. But I did do a private reading for myself the other day on when he might go. March, April, I think he'll be gone. Okay, let's go to why did Trump walk back his decision on Doral? Why did Trump? I feel it's not the hysteria and the Democrats and the public reaction. Yes, there's that to be considered. I feel he got some legal advice there on awarding a contract to himself. And yes, the president and your vice president are exempt from certain things, but he's not exempt from the your emoluments clause. And I think that his lawyers gave him that advice, that he would be in legal jeopardy. All right, so what's coming here? Commerce and expansion. I wonder what was the second. Okay, so communication. He was given some kind of communication, I feel, to say you'll be in legal jeopardy if you do. Now, I don't know how that works, but that's what I feel. Okay, why did Trump walk back his decision on Doral? What do we need to know about that decision to hold the G7 summit at his Doral resort? Why did he walk that back? And the other intuition I got was other foreign leaders did not want to be compromised like this as well. So that he says it was domestic pushback. I think there was some foreign pushback as well. So we've got the Four of Wands as a signifier card. This is the Democrats, yes, as a signifier card, but it's also Mar-a-Lago. So painting the wider picture, this could even be Doral itself in Florida. Painting the wider picture about how he's used his hotels. Of course, Mulvaney said he's still in the hotel business, and Chris Wallace from Fox pushed back and said, does he realise he's the president of the United States? Anyway, we shouldn't be laughing, but a little bit of levity is good. All right. So we've got challenged by Trump making money. Okay. So this is I guess a coming together, reunions, big events challenged by Trump making money. So this is his Doral resort, but it's also Mar-a-Lago and other things. And it's challenged by Trump taking money into his own coffers. Here's our retreat card. It was definitely a strong retreat. Whatever was happening behind the scenes was quite strong to make him retreat like that. This is being wounded in some way. Illusions and delusions, poor choices. This was Trump's own mental delusion that he could actually get away with this, and dragging those White House staff, those that are still left there, that probably will be going soon, because we'll ask that question, dragging them along in his delusion. Yeah, here we go. The Page of Pentacles. Crossing the Rubicon is very important to this reading as well, and things coming forward very, very quickly. Was this the legal advice on a number of fronts, as well as the political backlash? Here we are right now. Donald Trump is in a relationship with himself. And we've got at the crossroads this plan that came up in the Rubicon. Is he aware yet that he's going? We've got the Star of Hope, which is a lovely, beautiful, positive card to come forward in this reading at the bigger picture level. The Star of Hope, and this is a balancing of emotions as well, coming forward. And we've got the King of Cups energy moving through. Yeah, and the Sword of Truth. Okay, so this was impeachment and his ending, the ending of his presidency. So what happened was, I do feel that he got, with that Eight of Wands, he got, well, legal and political advice that if he went ahead and held the G7 at Doral, that would somehow be picked up into the impeachment inquiry. We know about Ukraine. We know about the money that he tried to withhold for his own 2020 campaign to favour that, dig dirt on Biden and the Democrats. But there's also that very important emoluments. The Court of Appeals has now said they will hear the emoluments case from Lawrence Tribe, and Lawrence Tribe, who's I think he's a Harvard professor, is leading some kind of citizen movement. They've taken this case up to the Court of Appeals. This is, and also emoluments violations is part of him. I would bet there's part of the articles of impeachment, and somehow Trump got that information because this is really Schiff and his team, but others, the Democratic chairs of their committees. This is the Sword of Truth coming out, and this is two very powerful cards to come forward here. The Sword of Truth and Justice and the ending of his presidency. So let's have a look at what's at the base. Yeah, absolutely. He was told he would be in big legal peril, and that it would feed into that impeachment, articles of impeachment. We've got loss and we've got the Russia. So I thought this may have been a political backlash as well. I do feel he intended, by having it at Doral on his property, he could then invite Vladimir Putin to the G7 as his guest. You know, and what would he have done? He's coming as my guest. I don't know, but he's received a walk back, some fairly strong political and legal advice to say you have to walk this back. So all this stuff he goes on about media, Democrats, no, it was a legal and a political jeopardy he was walking into, and I do see the impeachment, articles of impeachment, very strongly there. While we're on it, let's have a look. I've got a feeling Mulvaney's going to announce his resignation. Apparently, Jared and Ivanka have been lobbying for Mulvaney's resignation. Well, they lobbied for Reince Priebus, then his whatever, then John Kelly, and now Mick Mulvaney. So they're churning through chief of staff like we have breakfasts. All right, so I wonder if Putin has a sealed indictment. How does that work? Sorry, Angela. I'll just show that because it gave me the opportunity to review that. Probably because of the word of indictment. You wonder if Putin's got a sealed indictment. All right, well, we'll quickly ask that, and then we'll move to Mulvaney. And then I do just want to quickly draw on Boris Johnson. I feel, like what's happening in Canada at the moment, what's happening in the UK, it will affect you and me. Even though we don't live there, it will ultimately affect us. It'll either weaken or strengthen alliances, and those alliances are very critical to us. Okay, so Mulvaney, let's have a look. Oh, sorry. Yes, we'll do Mulvaney while we're on the track. Mick Mulvaney, are they lobbying for his exit? Do they want will Mick Mulvaney resign as Trump's chief of staff? Yes, I'm getting quite strongly. Will Mick Mulvaney resign soon as Donald Trump's chief of staff. Will Mulvaney resign? Yeah, they've already got someone there. They're already talking to someone. We've got the King of Cups as the now that's interesting, as the signifier card. He's not, yeah, okay, challenged by strength. Okay, so what they feel is Mulvaney is not doing enough in relation to the impeachment of Donald Trump. They're putting that on him. They're saying that you're not stopping this, you're not performing strongly enough, you're not strong enough. Okay, so we've got, the foundation of the reading is the Five of Cups. He's going to go, and he's being pushed out by let's just say forces that he can't see with this devil card. It's an obsession now. These people are going behind. He's being pushed out by Trump as well, but Trump's not taking a direct route. He's actually going around and allowing other people to do it for him. The High Priestess, which is what he does. It's his modus operandi. He's got to blame someone, and then he can't be directly involved. He'll have other people do his dirty work. High Priestess in the future. That means Mulvaney's got a lot of secrets there, which could even come out because we've got the December card. Mulvaney will be called up to testify at the end of the day. The Temperance card, the Iris. I have a lovely viewer who spoke to me about what the Temperance card to her means, that the balancing in some decks, fire and water, creates a rainbow. The Iris is the symbol that the worst is over. This angel, and it's an angelic presence, has 1 foot on the land and 1 foot in the water. So there is a balancing, and there's that road, clear road to the mountains. We've got this rebalancing happening. That's interesting. Currently, the Page of Pentacles. I do feel this is how Mulvaney is perceived. He's just not a heavyweight. He lacks, according to them, strength, and he's absolutely defending himself as a result because they feel that he's not strong enough. Oh, goodness. The hopes and the fears. I think Mulvaney at some point, perhaps intuitively, subconsciously, knows that he's going to get shafted. But this is also Trump being very disappointed in him. Goodness gracious me. 8 of Cups. That's my card, in case you didn't know, for resignations. So Mulvaney's going. 10 of Pentacles. Trump and his allies, let's say it, are pushing for Mulvaney to go because they're being restricted now. They feel that Mulvaney isn't strong enough. We've got what's happening now. At one point, Mulvaney and Trump, best buddies. We've got the downfall of their relationship. Mulvaney's being stabbed in the back right now as we speak, and we've got judgment, an ending, an inevitable ending for Mick Mulvaney. So he's going. Okay, so quickly, no, that's it. But they've already got someone else there, and this person could even only last a month. It's that kind of unstable, chaotic, ill thought out, desperate environment. With that King of Cups, it could be a throwback to the older GOP there. I mean, they brought in Bolton, and Bolton basically, I think, I hate to say it, is the because he was once the anti-hero, but he's actually largely in telling Fiona Hill to go to the CIA, or it wasn't Fiona Hill. I think it was a whistleblower, one of the whistleblowers, go to the CIA for a criminal referral. Bolton is in some way, or he will have played his role in taking down Trump. So bringing in the older GOP guard is not necessarily going to work for Trump, although I just have a feeling it could be. But I'd have to read on that a bit more. Okay, revolving door at the White House. Let's have a look before we get to Johnson. Let's have a look quickly at Angela's question, because I do like to answer them. Julie, will the Dems hold those who refuse to show up for subpoenas in contempt and get the sergeant in arms to throw them in jail? Julie, I might deal with that question in I'm going to do the week ahead, and I'll deal with that in a YouTube reading and post it on Patreon, because we are running out of time. All right, so let's have a look. Is there an indictment for Putin, for the Russian president? I did, in my readings on Russia post-Trump, I did see Putin not there, but I just don't think they would bring forward an indictment at this point. I do feel that there is an element of law enforcement that are keeping, and even the judges may play a role in this, they're keeping certain things back and unfolding them in time. All right, so let's have a look. Is there an indictment for Vladimir Putin? Is there an indictment for the Russian president, Vladimir Putin? Is there an indictment in the American court systems for the Russian president, Vladimir Putin? I don't think they have enough evidence, but we've got the Emperor card, the control, that's usually Trump, and we've got Trump's resignation. So it's all in the timing, isn't it? I think it would be a political solution for Putin, done through diplomatic channels once Trump is gone. That's what I'm feeling. I don't know that it would be through the courts. There's loss for Putin, and it's sanctions. Again, it's heavier sanctions. We've got the ending. That's interesting. The ending of Trump's presidency is right here in the frame. We've got going back to the past. Celebrations for the Democrats in 2020 or whenever Trump stands down. We've got the government. Okay, I feel it's more a government sanction. Yeah, it is. They're going to put very, very heavy sanctions. Trade, they're going to hit them financially is what they're doing. And they've already are starting to work this out at some level. Yeah, once they have victory, they're going to really hit them hard, and they're going to have the evidence to do it as well with the investigations. They'll go in there and they'll round everyone up, and at the end of the day, Mother Russia. They're going to be investigating completely. The Democrats are going to go in real hard. They're going to go back to the Mueller report. They're going to launch a massive, massive investigation into Russia, and the findings at the end of the day will really cripple Putin's presidency. And that's why I feel the Russians will remove him. The full card, New Beginnings. We've got wish fulfillment, and it's going to take some work on the part to get here, but we've also got things moving forward. It's going to be a priority. It's going to be a priority. Now, we've got a lot of detail between now and then, haven't we, that we can't see here at the moment, and I don't have time to drill down, but by the time you guys get to that stage, it's going to be, people are going to be, really, there's going to be a lot of political will wanting harsh repercussions for Putin at the end of the day, without taking us into a world war. All right, so we've done Mulvaney. Johnson. I just want to get to Johnson because I've got English and European Patreons, so I just want to get to Johnson as well. Will Johnson defy his parliamentary legislation? And thanks, Angela, and the Supreme Court, England's Supreme Court, and the Scottish High Court, English Supreme Court, the UK Parliament. Will Boris Johnson defy all of those democratic structures and crash out of the EU on the 31st of October? Will Johnson defy all of these structures and crash out of the EU on the 31st of October? You know what? I'm seeing the Six of Wands. It's the victory card. And I just got an impression there that he'd be stupid enough to do that. Will Johnson crash out of the EU on the 31st of October, defying everything and everybody? Will he crash out? Yeah, I'm getting the victory card. Okay, so we've got the Nine of Cups, wish fulfillment, but this is a merchant card too. All those cups, this is money, this is trade. What's challenging that is the greed, which I do feel is pushing Johnson and the Tories at the moment. Okay, so wish fulfillment, but this is also Saturn. This is the Great Awakener. So again, alignment between what's going on. The foundation going on in the US and UK, foundation of the reading is abusing his power with the Five of Swords. In the past, we've got the Ten of Swords. This is either Theresa May, or it could even be Boris Johnson himself. It could be the Brexit situation. It's at its lowest point. In the sky is that he's going to be restricted with this Eight of Swords. That's interesting. And we've got the Queen of Swords. Now, I said at the beginning of this reading, would the Queen step in? But I do feel this is the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court. We've got endings, death here, and we've got the environment that is creating. 1 million people marched. When a young mother and their child was asked, "You've already had one Brexit referendum, why should you have another?" And she said, because that's how democracy works. When we voted for Brexit, we were lied to. Remember, Cambridge Analytica and Facebook, etc. Mark Zuckerberg, I'll get to him. We've got more information now, and that's how democracy works. When we get the detail, we take another vote. But we've got delusion and not being able to make a choice is the fear here. Two of Wands is suggesting that he possibly, he's at the crossroads, but there's also a plan that comes together in time. We've got the Three of Cups, which is celebration, which is the energy around Johnson, and we've got anxiety. It's not looking good. We've got bombshells. We've got the money here, and we've got this information coming forward and lawmakers making a decision. Let me just have a look, clarifying this Two of Wands. Clarification, please. Boris Johnson, will he crash out of the EU? Please give me some clarification on the Two of Wands, Spirit. Oh, the Emperor but it came out reversed. The Emperor maintaining control, and we've got the Sword of Truth, and we've got moving on. It's the base of the pack. Investigations. Yeah, I'm getting conflicting cards. Commerce and expansion. It's not giving me a clear answer for some reason. It could be what will happen is that if he does do that, and this could be a scenario that's possible, a general election would be called. So Corbyn and he doesn't even have the support of the Democratic Unionist Party in Ireland anymore. I think he would, if he let that deadline go and crashed out, election time. He'd be removed. He would vote a no confidence. That's it. Because I don't see the question of crashing out and exiting being settled yet. But I do see he could be reckless enough to do it. Okay, is Mark Z in being blackmailed? Yeah, I don't know, Angela. I would have to read on that. I do intend to read on Zuckerberg. Because he gave us our Australian Prime Minister through allowing false advertising on Facebook, which alarmed people. Again, as I say, we go back to 2016 in the UK and in America. Australia's having its experience with all of this now. And we have to slowly wake up, unfortunately. So we've got an uphill battle here. But yeah, I'll do a reading on Zuckerberg later on, as well as Tulsi Gabbard. I do feel that's just jumped out with Zuckerberg. I do feel he's taken an offer, and they've given him an offer as well. Remembering that Warren has threatened to break up Facebook, so Zuckerberg is right there, motivated to work with the Republicans. However, remembering back to 2016, Zuckerberg gave that data to Cambridge Analytica. So I think the relationship between Zuckerberg and this dark money goes back way before now. And by the way, if that's the case, just go buy from elsewhere. Don't click on any Facebook ad as a we need a campaign. If he's going to do that and allow false advertising from politicians, let's boycott all advertising on Facebook, full stop. All right, so thank you very much for turning up this morning. That was a pretty full-on reading, but suffice to say, the bottom line is that Trump is being removed, and it looks like the buffoon in the UK is going to have a taste of some of this, collective will again. Boris Johnson's going to experience that for himself. So we're going to look back on all of this. I think America's going to respond very strongly to all of this once there's a change of government, once the truth emerges. But I think in the UK they've got a bit of a process yet to get through. So thank you again, and I'll catch up with you later. Say hello, Jamie, to your mum for me. Bye for now, everyone.